Have you ever thought of what would happen if you put an infrared camera on a drone and flew it around the city? Well, you'd probably find that certain houses or apartments light up way more than others. Because they're growing weed. If your butthole just clenched because you have a few plants in your house, no reason to worry, unclench, you're not gonna get caught because a drone flew by with a heat detecting camera. If you are gonna get caught, it's gonna be because of high electric and water bills, blacked out windows, lots of condensation on windows, the smell, noise from fans, snow melting on your roof, or a fire, since you are more prone to them with all the technology around. However, the most common way people get caught is a tip. Someone snitching because they noticed one or more of the aforementioned things, or their arrival, or any other reason people can't mind their own business. In summation, infrared cameras should definitely not be something that scares you. Besides, there are nuances to using them, because at the end of the day, that is surveillance, and the police would need some type of warrant to use such technology in most Western countries. In Kyle v. United States, we clearly see that this is not something that law enforcement can just do whenever they want. Did you know that you have rights? But do you know who cares about your rights even less than law enforcement? Criminals. You can get an infrared camera for a couple $100 and a drone for even less. You can fly it around, find a house that lights up and rob the place. I'm not writing a crime drama here, it's already happening.
So how did you two come up with the idea to use a heat-seeking drone to rob weed grow houses?
I studied media and art at university. I'm into technical stuff, and we just put our heads together, and this is how we came up with this.
It's really clever, isn't it? Quite a smart way to do it.
I tell you what it's like it's the patient way to do it. Because I could just go, my drug dealers could not just go and stick them up, and that bit will cause you problems.
The Daily Mail interviewed another one of these new age criminals.
I bought my first drone for a few £100 and learnt how to fly over wasteland and fitted a Wi-Fi camera to it so I could look into people's windows. However, I noticed police helicopters use thermal imaging cameras to find cannabis farms. So I bought a second-hand heat-seeking camera online and hooked it up to my iPad.
I would just like to point out that it was the police that gave him the idea to use infrared cameras, as before he was just a creep spying on people in their homes. He then goes on to say,
"They are fair game. It is not like I'm using my drone to see if people will have nice televisions. I am just after drugs to steal and sell. If you break the law, then you enter me and my drone's world."
First of all, you just said that you were looking into people's windows. What are you on about? Second, is it somehow now fine to rob people just because they're growing weed? Because I don't know who are you thinking of when you're thinking of a grower, but I'm sure this is not it. This is a so-called gropper, or grandma with crops, which is becoming a very popular profession for the elderly. What a cute grandma with her 16 plants. And now imagine if that guy with a drone robbed this poor woman. Well, actually, I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't have to worry about criminal gangs. I've got gang members in every corner of my family.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry. They've got my back.
The robbers themselves do say that it is kind of dangerous to rob houses like that. However, there's not much home growers can do to protect themselves from robberies, especially if they're not armed. Do you know where people are more likely to be armed?
Well, tonight we'll probably make between 3,000 and 4,000.
Just like the previous operation, robbing an illegal poker game has its benefits. There is usually a tip from someone at the poker game, the waitress, barman, security, etc. The robbers then study the place for a few weeks, even gamble there for a while, before eventually hitting the place. The robberies, however, don't always go peacefully.
Have you shot someone in a robbery?
Of course. Shot him 5 times. Tried to stall on that money. I got what I came for, and he got what he had coming to him.
And there you have it, 2 interesting instances of criminals going after other criminals. Frankly, the first one was way more interesting, but still. I really like the nuances that differentiate this kind of crime from a normal crime. I like how the criminals have their own ideology about it too, referring to crimes like these as fair game. Now, you don't really have to be in that kind of world or know someone from it to find this kind of thing interesting. However, I may or may not have known of something similar. When I was a kid, we lived above a family that was selling untaxed cigarettes, and they got hit a couple times. Once they had just stocked up on ciggies and the guys that robbed them took the cigarettes because there was no money. I only found out about all of this years later, way after we had moved out of that apartment. The funny thing is that the cigarette cartel people would often babysit me. I don't know exactly what that says about my mom and dad's parenting skills. Better not to think about it, I guess. I remember when I was about 6 being in their living room on the floor playing with cartons of cigarettes, because they were everywhere. And I was like, these people must really like smoking. I mean, they did, but still. I remember building houses out of these cartons of Marlboro, and then I had another pack of cigarettes, some weird Romanian brand, I think that's where they were smuggling the cigarettes from. And I would pretend that this Romanian brand was some guy that would go into the Marlboro house and rob the place, not realizing at the time how fucking meta that was. Yeah, anyway, this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time when I tell you all about how my parents taught me how to swim.